Let's get some feedback now from Judo Bank Economic Advisor Warren Hogan. Warren, great to see you. First of all, the question is, how much is this decision going to have an impact on the economy, inflation, therefore rate cuts?
Yeah, hi Laura. Look, I think this was an excellent decision from the Fair Work Commission and highlights the good work they've been doing for the last few years. It was sensible. 3.75 is actually lower than I thought where they'd be, and it is about in line with inflation. And it comes after 2 years where they have given a good boost to people, but as they know, real wages for these people are still only where they were 5 years ago. So this, I think, is showing a concern about the broader economic story. And the impact of this decision on employment and inflation will be modest. I think they've walked a very fine line between competing forces. And I think, if anything, it gives me more comfort that, inflation is on the right path. It doesn't change the story in the short term, but I think it's a good outcome.
Absolutely. I thought it quite interesting that the Commissioner said, almost word for word here, he took into account the budget and cost of living measures that were announced by this government. Was that somewhat unusual or pretty standard?
Yeah, no, they do always take into consideration the economic environment and obviously any policy issues that are out there. So no, that's standard, and it's excellent that they did, because really what they're saying is we're going to make sure you keep up with inflation, even though you're going to get some pretty decent tax cuts and cost of living support. So again, it's this balance between sort of what you might even say is a humanitarian approach and really trying to help the most vulnerable in our community versus not putting more inflation pressure in the economy than they need to. And the Commissioner stated quite clearly that they believe this is consistent with inflation coming under 3%. That's quite unusual that they'd be so explicit in their thoughts on where inflation's going.
Yeah.
Obviously, given how important all that is for the interest rate story.
Yeah, absolutely. And this data will feed into the next rate decision, absolutely. But it's not the only thing. We'll get inflation data, growth in the economy, GDP numbers on Wednesday. How critical is that particular number?
Well, for us economists, the GDP figure is critical because it's the time when we reset everything and reassess the outlook and the various paths the economy could be taking given what we know is going on. So, look, we're going to be wanting to see what's happening to household real incomes, which obviously plays to today's story. But that's where all the pressure is in this economy, whether it's higher rates, the inflation itself, or bracket creep and a higher income tax burden. This economy and this slowdown is all about crushing household incomes. And it's got nothing to do with the rest of the economy. Businesses, as we found out last week, increased their investment in the first 3 months of this year. Business surveys show that business confidence is neutral, in stark contrast to consumers. And of course, we're still growing our employment levels. Despite one of the biggest increases in Australia's population ever, we still have unemployment near 50-year lows. So, look, we have an economy where it's all about pressuring the household sector. And so today's results are good. And of course, the tax cuts are going to help a lot. And I actually think we got an economy that's on a pretty sort of steady path.